Republic of the Philippines, Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Magandang hapon sa inyo lahat. And thank you for this opportunity for me to be able to make my final statement on this trip from the Philippine delegation to the United States that we have just finished. So, seeing as dahil tutuloy nga ako sa UK, sabi ko maaari ito na yung kung baga hindi ako makakapag-arrival statement dun sa Maynila, kaya pagkakataon ko na lang ito na bigay ng statement tungkol nga dito sa nakakatapos lamang na bisita natin sa United States at sa pamahalaan kay President Biden sa pamahalaan ng Estados Unidos. So this brings to an end my official working visit to Washington, D.C. Over the past 4 days, I met with Joe Biden, the President, Vice President Kamala Harris, my counterpart in the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Secretary Tom Vilsack, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, and several other cabinet officials who joined President Biden in our expanded bilateral meetings. Our discussions were very productive. We are of the same mind that our long-standing alliance and partnership must be adapted to address the challenges of our time in order to bring about lasting peace and sustainable prosperity to our countries and to our peoples. The joint statement we issued outlines the key initiatives that we will pursue across all areas of our bilateral engagement to achieve these objectives. I look forward to having our respective teams follow through on the many areas of cooperation that we have identified. This will help advance our key priorities with respect to agriculture and food security, and to promote energy security as we transition to clean energy and boost trade and build resilience of our supply chains, enhancing connectivity and digitalization, also of climate change, mitigation and adaptation. In addition to existing bilateral policy dialogue platforms and working groups, we agreed to institutionalize a ministerial-level study group to advance cooperation on climate-smart agriculture, which I myself will lead. I also met with quite a few U.S. companies, both those looking to further expand their already valuable presence and operations in the Philippines, and those looking to invest in our country for the first time. They are all committed to be part of this development journey that we have embarked upon. We returned to the Philippines with over $1.3 billion in investment pledges that have the potential to create around 6,700 new jobs for Filipinos within the country. When realized, these investments will support our country's economic recovery efforts and further strengthen the foundations of our economic environment. We expect even more investment that will lead to materialize once these companies firm up their plans. Nevertheless, the interest is a welcome sign of their trust and confidence in the Philippines as an investment destination. Together, we will be working on addressing some of our key economic challenges, particularly food, energy, and health security, digital connectivity, and the cross-cutting issues of climate change and pandemic preparedness. The discussions that we had with the U.S. business community also affirmed the optimism which international investors view the Philippines today. It was with great pride that I received their praises for the talent, ingenuity, work ethic of Filipinos. This has become the main driving force for bringing their investments to our country. We also welcome all the initiatives to expand collaboration with the Philippine government and our universities to support the continued growth of local talent. These, complemented by our game-changing economic reforms, will serve as a firm foundation for an indomitable partnership. My visit would not have been complete without meeting with Filipino community from the U.S. East Coast, as well as some who came all the way from the Caribbean. I thank them for their contributions to the communities in the Philippines and in the United States. They continue to bring honor to our country in the practice of their chosen professions. They continue to bring a shine to the reputation of Philippines and Filipinos with their philanthropic work, especially during calamities and disasters that have touched so many lives. I urge our fellow kababayans here in the East Coast to continue to be our partners in promoting the country for tourism and investments. I then capped my visit with a speaking engagement at the Center of Strategic and International Studies, where I shared my reflections on why I think the Philippines and the United States has been and will continue to be naturally drawn to each other. Beyond our treaty alliance, we are bound by shared values and our commitment to mutual prosperity. I underscored my main message during this visit. The Philippines and the United States will have to forge closer economic ties and ensure that our bilateral partnership works for our people. That will bring a truly important alliance, a truly valuable partnership, and a continuing friendship into the 21st century. Thank you. I think there are a few questions.
Yes, Mr. President. Yung press corps. First question from Ms. Daphne Galvez of Inquirer.net.
Good evening, Mr. President.
Hi, good evening. Good evening na ba?
Yes. After the U.S. and the Philippines finalized its bilateral defense guidelines, China said that the South China Sea should not be used as a hunting ground for forces outside of the region, and it opposed what it called as meddling in the issue to harm China's sovereignty and maritime rights. What can you say about this, sir?
Well, I do not think, as a Filipino and representing the Philippines, I don't feel alluded to. How can anyone say that we are not a party in interest in all of these issues? So I think that kind of statement was directed more towards the United States than it was for the Philippines. I think the Philippines actions are in continuing to strengthen our capabilities, to continue to find and forge partnerships with the United States, and both in the governmental sector and also with the private corporations that we have spoken to, as an important part of what we have been trying to develop in the past almost 1 year. And that is I think, only right and proper, because we in the Philippines need to do this if we are going to go forward and find new opportunities for our people. At hindi naman masasabi na walang karapatan ng Pilipinas na gawin lahat yun. Kaya yung statement na yan, sa palagay ko hindi nakadirect sa Pilipinas.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, we have a question from Tina Maralit of Manila Times.
Hey, sir. Good afternoon po. Sir, prior to this trip, you said that you want the Mutual Defense Treaty to evolve. In your sit-down po with President Joe Biden, were there specific provisions of the MDT that you discussed with him? And if so po, what was his reaction?
Again, you have to, if
The specific provisions, prior to this trip, you said that you want the MDT to evolve po. Were you able to mention
we're not
specific?
yet there. What we did in this trip and what we have managed to formulate are the guidelines pa lang doon sa mga magiging provision at saka magiging detalye. But the premise continues to be the same. It's a strengthening of relationship, and the word "evolve" is one that I have been using, and that other people have seemed to have adopted, Because that is exactly what it is that we need to do. We have to evolve. And why? To explain it is that we need to evolve because the situation that we face is evolving. And when I speak about the evolving situation, I'm not only talking about security and defense. I'm talking about trade. I'm talking about economy. I'm talking about climate change. I'm talking about all the other aspects of our society, of our economy, and even our government that we have to adjust as a response to what changes we are facing. Iba na ang mundo ngayon. Hindi na kagaya kung ano yung mundo natin noong November ng 2019, hindi na natin makikita yon. At talaga namang ayaw natin bumalik doon. Tayo ay tumutungo sa kinabukasan natin. At yun, kailangan natin kilalanin kung ano ang kailangan gawin dito sa bagong sitwasyon. Kaya evolve ang aking ginagamit na salita.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have a question from Rayo Kiyomiya of Shimbun.
Thank you, President. This is Ryo Kiyomiya from the Asahi Shimbun, Japanese newspaper. I have two questions. So first, regarding the tension in the Taiwan Strait, at your meeting with President Biden and your counterparts, what kind of discussion did you have to deter the contingency in Taiwan and how to react to the Taiwan Strait crisis? And secondly, at the meeting with President Biden, joint statement mentions a trilateral cooperation, including Japan and Australia. So what kind of cooperation do you expect, and what kind of role do you expect Japan to play for the stability and peace in the region?
I expect a developing cooperation. Patuloy ang pagpatibay natin ng ating pagsasama at pagpapartner dito sa iba't ibang bansa na hindi lamang yung mga nakapaligid sa Pilipinas, hindi lamang ang ating karatig bansa, kundi pati na ang mga bansa na dati hindi naman natin nakakausap dahil walang pangangailangan na makaroon tayo ng partnership. Kagaya ng pagsagot ko doon sa nakaraang tanong, yun talaga ay nagbago lahat. Kaya kailangan natin ayusin lahat ang ating mga arrangements. We have to fix our arrangements, our alliances, so that they conform to the needs of the day. And that's again, it comes back again to that process of evolution. Because the situation is new, then the solutions have to also be new. And that is why we are now formulating those partnerships between all the different countries, not just Australia, not just the United States, also South Korea, also Japan, all of the ASEAN member states. And I think we can continue to do that. And I know that these countries that I have mentioned are already of the same mind. Pareho ng pag-iisip tungkol sa mga pangangailangan na natin gawin at kung saan ang pinaka makakatulong sa Pilipinas ng mga partnership. Sila rin ay ganyan din ang kanilang pag-iisip. Sila rin ay naghahanap na nga ng mga itong group na magsama-sama upang harapin ang bagong mundo na sabay-sabay. It seems that the message of unity that we were espousing during the campaign is beginning to extend to unity not only in the local situation in the Philippines but also in an international scale. Kaya yun ang naging talumpati ko nung ako'y nagsalita sa UN na kailangan na natin magkaisa, kailangan na tayo magkaintindihan upang makapagtulungan tayo sa isa't isa. So, I think it is not only the Philippines that thinks that way. It's not the only Australia that thinks that way. It's not only the US that thinks that way. I think every country in the world is thinking in those terms. At least most of the countries that have not, that have continued to keep open relationships with their partner governments around the world, are also of the same mind, and that's why I'm confident that that process will continue and will go from strength to strength.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Marlon Ramos from PDI.
Magandang gabi po, Mr. President.
Yes.
Sir, you just made very interesting remarks during the CSIS forum this afternoon. You said, and I quote, "The syndicates have grown stronger, wealthier, and more influential, worryingly so." This despite what you mentioned, abuses committed by certain elements in the government. Sir, how do you assess the drug war of the previous administration, and how do you intend to go after, to make those people behind those abuses accountable?
I'm in no position to assess the administration of anybody else. That is not proper for me to. That's not a proper role for me to take. But when you ask what we are doing, alam naman ninyo lahat. We formed a commission and I asked for the resignation of all the police officers from Colonel up, so that we can assess and see and study what their records are. Kung sila ba ay kasama sa mga sindikato, kung sila ba ay may kinalaman dito sa patuloy na paglago ng drug problem sa Pilipinas. Kaya yun ang palagay kong unang-una. Dahil hindi mangyayari ito, tignan na lang ninyo ang sitwasyon, ang drug problem sa lahat ng iba't ibang bansa sa buong mundo. Ang mga nagpapatakbo niyan ay hindi yung mga maliliit na tao na nakikita mo sa lansangan na sila mismo nagbebenta o user sila. Hindi naman sila ang nagpapatakbo niyan. Ang nagpapatakbo niyan ay mga matataas na opisyal, kuminsan sa pulis, kuminsan sa gobyerno. So yun ang hinahabol natin. Kaya isinimula natin sa pulis dahil law enforcement sila. Sila ang dapat na nakatutok dito sa problemang ito. Kung hindi gumaganda ang sitwasyon, ibig sabihin hindi nila nagagawa ang trabaho nila. At kaya naman natin ginawa yung ginawa natin upang tanungin, bakit hindi ninyo nagawa ang trabaho ninyo? Baka may kakulangan sa sistema ng pulis, ayusin natin. Baka naman talaga ito ay kasabwat doon sa ating mga tinatawag na drug lord. At kung yung iba, sila mismo ang nagiging drug lord. Kaya yun ang mga hinahabol natin. Kaya yan ang palagay ko, malaking bagay yan. Ngayon, sinasabi na kung magtanggal kahit na ma-identify natin sila, tatanggalin natin, may papalit dyan. Yun ang iiwasan natin. Yun ang binabantayan natin ngayon. So sa kasalukuyan, yung dalawa na sa pulis na nagbigay ng courtesy resignation ay tinanggap na ang resignation. May 30 labis na 30 na under investigation pa rin. Titignan natin kung sila ba ay dapat kasuhan, kung sila ba ay kailangan suspindihin, kung ano man. Dahil kung meron man silang kinalaman sa mga drug syndicate, iba-ibang involvement. Meron yung pinababayaan lang, look the other way. Ika nga, they just look the other way. Ano yung magiging parusa para dyan? As opposed to, yun talagang pinapalakad, yung mga opisyal, pinapalakad yung mga tropa nila para tulungan ang drug syndicate. Iba naman siguro ang sitwasyon na yun. Kaya yun ang pinag-aaralan natin para naman, karamihan naman, marami naman sa pulis, wala namang involvement dyan, ay mababait at talagang nagsisipag upang matuklasan at mabuo ang mga kaso na hinahawakan nila. Kaya kailangan natin maging maingat din na hindi natin hahabulin yung mga walang kinalaman. Kaya kailangan natin pag-aralan kung sino ba talaga ang dapat imbestigahan, kung sino ba talaga ang dapat parusahan.
Salamat po.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last question from Mark Fetalco of PTV4.
Good evening, sir. May we know po kung anong oras po kayo tutungo sa United Kingdom for King Charles' coronation? And secondly, where do you see the Philippine-UK relations under King Charles' reign? And ano po yung nakikita nating benefits po nito? At lastly, tatanggapin po ba natin yung imbitasyon po ni Prime Minister Rishi Sunak na makipagdialogo po sa inyo?
Well, alis ako mamaya. In a few hours, in 2 hours. Alis na ako in a while para makatungo, para darating ako, maglalanding ako sa Gatwick. Dahil, ang dahilan kung bakit sa Gatwick ako maglaland, usually, hindi sa Gatwick ang pinupuntahan. Ngunit ngayon ay pupuntahan ko yung Gatwick dahil titignan ko yung operation ng kanilang airport. Kung bagay ba ito, yung mga lessons learned nila, yung mga ginagawa nila, kung best practices yan na pwede nating dalhin sa Pilipinas. At isa sa pinakamalaking dahilan kung bakit ako pupunta ay kilala namin si Prince Charles pa ang pagkakilala ko sa kanya. At kaming lahat nung namatay nga si Queen Elizabeth ay hindi ako nakapunta. At ang pinadala ko ang kapatid ko na si Irene, kilala rin ni Prince Charles. Kaya sabi ko naman, ay palagay ko, dahil magkakilala kami, dapat naman napakalaking bagay na siya'y kukoronahan bilang hari ng United Kingdom, ay dapat makapag-attend na ako. At the UK is a constitutional monarchy. So, in terms of foreign policy, may input ang royal family. Pero hindi galing doon. It will be the foreign ministry that will determine what our relationship with the UK is. And I think that that is constant right now. And patuloy lang naman, we trade and we continue to help ang ating mga Filipino nationals na nandun sa UK. At yun lang siguro ang mga concern natin. Ngunit titignan natin, kaya makikipagkita ako sa kanilang bagong Prime Minister Sunak, upang makapag-usap kami kung meron bang pagbabago sa kanyang pag-iisip sa pagpartner ng UK at saka ng Pilipinas. Sa palagay ko ay ganun din ang sasabihin niya na dapat papatibayin natin at hirap na hirap ang ekonomiya ng UK. So baka isang bagay yun na pag-uusapan namin kung paano mag-trade o kung paano dagdagan. Isa sa lahat, I'm sure, babanggitin niya kung pwedeng makakuha ng healthcare workers galing Pilipinas, dadalhin sa UK. Dahil alam mong nangyari, nung pandemic, sumikat talaga ng husto ang healthcare workers na Pilipino at Pilipina. At kaya't lahat ng bansa ay umaasa at nagtatanong kung pwede ba paramihin natin ng mga healthcare workers na pupunta. So isang bagay yun. But I think in general, we will maintain the same relationship. It has been a relationship very advantageous to all parties involved. So I think that we will stay the course and continue to deal with each other in a very similar way that we have done before.
Sir, hindi mo po kung kailan po yung schedule meeting natin with Prime Minister Sunak?
On the sidelines lang. Dahil kung titignan nyo yung schedule, pagdating ko doon, may reception sa palasyo, sa Buckingham Palace. The next day is the coronation. Pagkatapos ng coronation, alis na ako, babalik na ako ng Maynila. Kahit wala halos oras. So, may mga proposal, makikipag-usap ako, siyempre sa Prime Minister Sunak. Pero habang siguro nag-aantay doon sa actual na seremonya ng pag-coronation sa King Charles. So ganun na lang. It has to be very casual dahil everybody has followed a very heavy schedule of the coronation. Meron din mga request ng ibang leaders na mga gusto makipag-usap sa akin, pero ganun din, puro ganun. Ang tawag nila, ginagawa na lang natin, pagka may pagkakataon, ay halika, usap tayo. Siguro, and that's what's going to happen siguro this time again. Because I cannot see window of time in the schedule kung saan pwedeng mag-sit down, mag-usap, to exchange notes, etc. etc. So very casual lang ito, very informal. Pero wag natin mamaliitin yung mga ganyang klaseng meeting dahil kuminsan yung hindi mo inaakalain mangyayari, may nangyayari na napaka-importante pala. Kaya siyempre open tayo lagi na makipag-usap sa lahat. At baka naman sakali meron tayong makita pagkakataon na makatulong sa Pilipinas.
Thank you, Mr. President, and congratulations.
Maraming salamat sa inyo lahat. Thank you very much and see you in Manila, Philippines.
The class picture, the photo.
Enjoyed this video? Hit the like button and share with your friends. Also, subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.